This is the Spritz Girl Mindset Podcast, and I'm your host, Courtney Young. If girlhood is a mindset, this is where we practice it out loud and unfiltered. We're healing, we're yapping, and we're doing it with spritzes in hand. Here's your permission slip to be soft, messy, and magnetic as hell. So grab a spritz, grab a seat, no small talk, just the real stuff. Hello, Lily. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I am so excited to have you on our podcast today.
I know it's so good to be here. I feel like I've been waiting for this for maybe a month now.
I feel like we first connected like a month ago, and I've just been so excited to get to pick your brain and chat with you.
It's good to be here.
Yay! So why don't we go ahead and start by you just telling my audience a little bit about who you are and what you do?
So I really wanted to just help inspire other people, right? Which is also why I wanted to be on this podcast. But I've had a dream of making a clothing line since I was a kid. Like I started sewing when I was probably like 13, I think. Like it was in high school, and I wanted to go to fashion school when I graduated. And that ended up like never happening just because I feel like I didn't have that support. And also it's like pretty much a risky field to go into. And just coming from a very like risk-averse background, I ended up taking a much safer path and going to business school instead. No regrets there. Like I loved business school. But it's just kind of funny looking back, thinking like, where would my life have been like if I went to fashion school instead and, started a clothing line when I was like much younger. But like everything happens in life for a reason, right? I
Yeah,
ended
no,
up going to business school.
the butterfly effect is literally crazy. I was just thinking
Yeah.
this the other day because I feel like within my own life, right? Like I've jumped through so many different fields and changed directions so many different times. And at the end of the day, it all kind of led me back to wanting to connect with and help other people.
Mhm.
So now here we are starting this podcast, which is not ever something I thought I would do, but all of my experience from working in jewelry to working in the church for a little bit to working, I manage a salon during the daytime. So like all of those things combined, there was one thing at the heart of it, and it was helping and leaning into and connecting with other people. And I think that's super cool that that's a part of your story as well.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like even through all the different fields like I've been in, like after graduating from business school, like I've gotten a little bit of everything from like marketing to operations to finance, right? And now it's like coming around like full circle again because now here I am starting my own business. And like I've always wanted to be able to solve a problem and help people, with an issue they're having. So it's like, okay, this all ties into this pet hair resistant clothing because it's a problem solving like type of idea.
Well, it's absolutely a problem solving idea. As somebody who has 3 dogs, as soon as I saw what your business was and the line you were making, I literally was like, I need that immediately. Like, I'm obsessed with loungewear. I'm obsessed with my animals. So the idea that like you could just not have any fur on your loungewear while you're trying to take a nap, obsessed. Love it so much.
Yeah. It's like I want to feel clean and put together and be able to leave the house without having to beat myself down with a lint roller. I could just pat myself off and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go.
I love it. So we're going to get into all of that, but I want to start kind of at the beginning. So what inspired you to create LUU Lounge? And was there like a specific moment that sparked it? Like what was that journey like for you?
Yeah, so I also have 3 babies, my 3 doggos, and I have one that's like extra super cuddly more than the other two, I would say, and he's the one that sheds the most, right? And so I'd always be like literally so covered in pet hair, and I'm like, it's like clogging up like my washer, and I'm like, oh, this is not a good time because I'll literally have to like lint roll my clothes off before throwing them in the wash to try not to get all the hair stuck in the wash. I was like, there has to be a better way, than doing all this.
Yeah.
And it kind of just dawned on me. I was just like maybe I can figure out something like just to make it like more pet hair resistant. So I don't have to be going through all this mess anymore. And it took like a good while of research, but I started researching a lot of different fabrics. I spent like months just trying to find a manufacturer that could make my fabric for me because it's a custom fabric. So it's not something that's on the market. So it's not something that already exists where I can just be like, yeah, like let me make it out of that real quick. So it is a whole process to go through. But I mean, coming back to it, like my fur babies have been my inspiration. And I knew I wasn't the only one dealing with this problem. So I was like, I could definitely help out a lot of other people. It's been such a game changer for me. And I know it's going to be a game changer for a lot of other people too.
So exciting. So first of all, anytime anyone starts a business, like that's so daunting. So like the fact that you were just like, I see this problem. I have the tools to solve it. I'm going to get after it and do it. Like, I hope you're patting yourself on the back for that because that is so cool and not something that everybody like finds the courage to do. Like, what gave you the courage to just go for it, you think?
Honestly, I feel like I kind of got triggered when I was entering my 30s. I feel like that must have like done something in my head where I was like, I've been wanting to do this for years. Like to start my own business, I always let fear get in the way. And it was always a big thing of like, what if it doesn't work out? Like, what if I fail? Like, like what are other people gonna think? Like those type of things that I'm sure everyone has in the back of their head when they're doing something they're afraid of? And I think around the time I turned 30 was basically like a big changing point in my life. And I was like, I'm just so tired of letting other people get in the way of my dreams, letting fear get in the way, like me getting in my own way. Right. And it's like, I know I can do these things, but it's just like I'm blocking myself out of fear.
Love that you said that because yes, absolutely. Have you just out of sheer curiosity, and it's okay if the answer is no, but have you taken the Enneagram test?
I feel like I have, but I've also taken so many that I'm just like,
Yeah. I'll
what
give
is
like
my
your
result?
step. It's all good, but it's one of my favorite like lenses to talk about like who you are and why you are the way you are because it's a motivation based personality assessment. So hearing you talk about that fear, I'm an Enneagram 6. And so for me, my core motivation is safety security. I'm also very risk averse. I'm very like I really prioritize my loyalty. I really prioritize like that safety within my relationships. And there's 9 different types. So everybody has like a different motivation, fear, and a core type. I'd be so curious later down the road to find out what yours is. But on that subject of fear getting in your way, I feel like that is such an ego thing, right? Because, and I'm not talking about like you're egotistical, but what I'm saying is we all have an ego and it's our ego's job to protect us. And when we get into something new, especially when we are naturally very risk averse, like it's so much easier to cave into those coping mechanisms of let me run away from this or let me get really defensive when I don't know an answer. And so to be able to face that head on and say, you know what, like I think I have something that I can do that can help other people and this is scary, but I'm going to take a step in the right direction anyway. That's inspiring, like in and of itself. So good for you. That's really amazing.
Thank you. And I totally agree. It's such a battle of the ego and not in an egotistical way, but it's just like, yeah, it's like we're wired to be like on our negative to protect ourselves, right? Like your brain is literally wired that way because we want to be in that safety. And so it's like when we're going into the out an outside thing that we're like not comfortable with, that we don't have experience in, it's like a big scary thing. So like it's also understanding like, hey, your brain's just trying to protect you. Like, you know?
Yeah. I always talk about how it can be so empowering to just take small little steps without focusing on the big picture and picture goal, right? Because that
Mhm.
journey that we take to get to our like ultimate goal. So for you, like starting a clothing line, I'm sure there were so many little things you had to say yes to in order to get to where you are right now. And those decisions might feel a little less scary in the moment because they're smaller decisions, but you honoring yourself and saying yes to those things even when it feels scary, is going to be what gets you to your bigger picture. So that's a really cool way to look at it too.
Yeah, it's definitely the little steps. Like, I think just the scary thing is really taking that first step, right? Like once you decide to do it, and I feel like that's when it started flowing for me. Like once I started reaching out to manufacturers and started getting samples made, like I was like, okay, like this is actually happening. Like I'm doing it. Like at this point, like, like it's just an idea, but
Yeah.
I'm making steps towards it, like a little bit, like every single day. And it kind of just starts building up the momentum. It's like before you know it, it's like, okay, I'm about to launch soon. Like, it's been like a year journey, but all the steps that have gotten me to where I am today.
That's amazing. I want to talk about, the very beginnings of your journey. So what were you like in your, growing up? Like have you always been very creative and entrepreneurial? Like how did you show up in the world?
I feel like growing up, I was always a creative. Like I've always been pretty, I would say. Like I know here I am with all my stuff in the back, but like I've always liked to sew, draw, paint. Like I've always been more tapped onto the right side brain, right? But I feel like I was too afraid to actually pursue a creative path in life just because it's not stable and secure. And I feel like growing up, it's like, and not to sound stereotypical, right? But like, if you're not like a doctor, a lawyer, like whatever type of like big profession, like that's what's kind of been expected, like where I'm coming from. And I'm like, I don't want to do all those things. Like, I don't want to be in the medical field. Like, and there was a point in my life where I literally came out of school and I thought I would go into the medical field, like, and do something in that world, and I think it was around the time where I was probably, like, 16, 17, I was still pushing myself through it, and I'm like, I can't stand needles, like, I don't even wanna put a needle in someone, you know? I'm, like,
Yeah.
literally taking medical classes in school, and they're like, "Yeah, we get to stab each other with needles for fun," and I'm like, "Oh, no."
No, I'm out, fam. Bye. Yeah, literally,
No.
I was getting my Botox done today, and she has the needle like all up on my face. And I'm like, more power to people who can do this every day because I simply cannot.
Like, I can't even look at pictures of it, and I was like, "You know, this is not the right way to go for me." So,
Well, and you said you're in your 30s, right? I feel like that means, you're a millennial. And for us millennials, I don't know if this is your experience, so I'll speak on my own. The idea of you have to go to college, you have to get a 4-year degree, you have to pursue a high paying career, like those things were drilled into my brain as a teenager growing up, not just in my family, but also in school. Like I remember being in school and it was very much college is the only way you will be successful. And while I do think there's like validity to getting a 4-year degree, I don't have a 4-year degree. There are definitely opportunities where, I wish I had pursued that, not what I ultimately pursued. But I do feel like along with that came this idea of, well, you can't pursue creative paths. You can't, like Courtney, you want to be a podcast host, you want to be a coach. You can't do that. How are you going to be successful? How are you going to make money? And what I've really come to learn is when you tap into who you are and what you're gifted in and where your confidence is, because you're doing the things that make you passionate and make you excited and bring your whole self to the table, that's how you cultivate a career for yourself. And I love that now this younger generation is starting to push back on that and be like, no, I don't have to go and get a 4-year degree. I don't have to go and stab people with needles if I don't want to stab people with needles. There are some people that like that really works for and more power to them, but it's not for everybody. And like we can encourage everybody to bring them full selves to the table and do what they are passionate about doing. So I love that you're doing that through your line. And look at where you started. You said you always wanted to go to fashion school and here you are and you're doing the damn thing. You're not in fashion school, but you're starting a line and you're putting yourself out there and that's amazing.
it's something I tell myself, I'm just like, "Yeah, I didn't go to fashion school, went to business school instead, but, I don't think I need a fashion degree for this, and here I am still starting my own line." So, it's fine. Everything comes around, and I just also wanna talk about, like, throwing your degree away, I guess you could say, because like, obviously my degree's in business, right? And, like, I'm starting a business. I'm like, "Okay, there's, like, some use, like, there's some way it ties in." But I don't think you necessarily, like, need a degree for what you wanna do unless, of course, you're in a specialized field. I'm not gonna go in the medical field without a degree.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, there's just so many opportunities out there that you can do, and you don't have to go through the traditional path of getting 4-year degree or your master's or whatever it is. It's like if you have that drive for it and it's something that doesn't require that, well, please, like, by all means.
Or if you do go through that path and you end up switching what you want to do, that's just as valid. Like
Yeah.
ultimately, everything goes our way, right? Everything is working out for us. I don't love the phrase everything happens for a reason because I believe that that's like kind of invalidating because it invalidates the emotions, the feelings, the physical things that we go through to get to where we are. But I do believe that everything, like the butterfly effect, everything can be redeemed for good. Everything can come together to make you the person who you are and your story matters and sharing it inspires so many people without you even realizing it or recognizing it. So, yeah, sure, you went to business school, you wanted to go to fashion school, you ended up starting a clothing line. Like, how crazy is that? That, like, yeah, maybe it doesn't always directly apply, but the things that you learned and the ways you were able to like invest in yourself are still coming through and are still going to show up in this next chapter for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and I mean, this is kind of on the same like vein, not the exact same, but I feel like as women, we're often told to pick one lane, right? So how did you kind of give yourself that permission to go for it? And then more than that, like how has your identity shaped your brand story, shaped what LUU Lounge is?
I feel like I've never been a person just to do, like, one thing or, like, stick to one thing, and I feel like life is pretty much about gaining, like, experiences wherever you want them. So
Mhm.
for me, like, honestly, before I, like, came back, actually, I was out of state, so I'm in California right now, right? Just a little bit of backstory. I previously lived in Alabama, so it was, like, a good few years in Alabama, and I was there because of my job at the time, and after it was, like, a toxic job, and it was, like, soul-sucking. But
Mm.
after I left that place, I had this like spurt of like freedom. I was feeling very, very free after getting out of that place. And so I kind of wanted just to do like all the things that I've always wanted to do. And I think that's what kind of started me onto this path of like finally having the guts to do my business because I literally came out from that and I was like, I'm gonna start like teaching like art classes and bartending and like just all the just random jobs that I wanted to do. Like I started putting them in my schedule. I was doing like SEO and like marketing and blog writing for a small business. I was just dipping my fingers in all these different things, right?
Yeah.
And with that, I'm like, okay, like there's just so many things that I know that if I wanted to like tap into, I could. And I feel like after that bit of experience, like going through all these different things and like even getting when I got my certificate to teach English as a foreign language too, like it was just, I was all over the place. Okay. Like it was just a time in my life where I was just like, yeah, let me do all these things. And then finally I calmed down and it was like, okay, what do I really want to do now? Like I have all these business ideas that are flowing my way while I was just like doing all these random oddball things. And I had like idea after idea. And I was just like, what do I actually just want to pick and like focus on? And like what resonates with me the most. And so when I finally singled on my idea of making pet hair resistant clothes, that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna go all in. Let's start researching, let's do all the things I need to do. But it was like a shift. And this is again around the time when I turned 30. So it was very much a chaotic time in life.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably going through a Saturn return or something at that point.
No, that's exactly it. Literally, you took the words out of my mouth. So that is literally
What's your
my
sign?
Sagittarius. I'm a Sagittarius.
My husband's a Sag. I'm a Gemini.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a Sag, Sun, Moon, and Rising. It is,
Gosh.
yeah. I'm
I
like
mean,
Sag, hope.
I love a Sag. I'm a Gemini Sun, Aries Moon, and Cancer Rising.
Cancer Rising. Okay.
I'm literally last day of Gemini. So I'm basically a Cancer in so many ways, at least in the way I like present myself to the world. I definitely have Gemini tendencies, but
Mhm.
I would say like most people would be like, oh, yeah, you're a Cancer. That adds up.
My sister's a Cancer.
Okay, so yeah, clearly, you've kind of done all of the different things. And again, like I said before, I feel like, you know, getting to take those moments to really figure out what it is that you love to do and like dipping your toe in the water and doing all of those like things makes you who you are. It's, people always talk about like your brand is you. So like you should take ownership of like who you are and talk about that. And I love that. I love that you did so many things. I don't think it's like crazy. I think it's super cool. Like I think that's great. But I want to transition more to talk about like balance and burnout and how we take care of ourselves while we're like chasing our goals. So you do a lot. You run a business and you work 8 to 5. I can identify. I also am working full time and starting this new business. How do you protect your energy?
That's a very, very important question. I know it's been a struggle, honestly. So for me, I think about healthy habits in terms of you want to do something for your mind, body, and soul, right? So I'm like, things I like to do for my mind, like I like to read a lot. So every day I'll read. And then for my body, I like to do yoga. So every day, like I literally start my day off in the morning with yoga and I'll do yoga like 2, maybe 3 times a day. Just for the soul, like just journaling things out and having that time to meditate and really like sit with yourself. Like everyone has different habits that they can incorporate, but I think just going back to your mind, your body and soul, like that's what really like you have to really take care of that to like hold your inner peace, right?
Love that you put it that way because I feel like so many times when we think about like physical wellness or we think about burnout, right? We think about just like the physical side of it. But you're so right. Like there are other aspects of it. Like what are you doing for your soul? How are you filling your cup? And what are you doing for your body? Like people underestimate how important going to the gym or finding a physical activity that you love actually is. And including me, like I love the gym. I love weightlifting. I love boxing. I do all of those things. But if I get burnt out, the first thing I want to do is sit on the couch and doom scroll, which is not helpful. Just forcing yourself to stay consistent with that can do so much for your mental health. So I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, I do a little like habit tracker. So I try to make sure I do those things like every single day, but just setting it in your mind as like this is a non-negotiable. Like when I get up in the morning, I'm like, okay, this is like a non-negotiable. I need to like hit the mat like right now.
That's awesome. So also like you're a fur mom, I'm a fur mom. Like I feel like pets influence our own self-care and mental health too all the time, right? So like how have your pets been so like influential and helpful for you?
So for me, I feel like with my babies, like I've learned so many lessons from them with like resilience and like, oh my gosh, let me tell you a backstory. Like I have one dog, he used to be like disabled. Like one of my dogs just like stopped walking one day. Legs like stopped working and he was literally like just it was out of nowhere. Like he started like dragging himself across the floor and I was like, what are you doing? Like what's going on? Like why are you dragging your booty across the floor like that? You know? And it turns out like I don't know if his like a nerve got pinched or something. I don't know. The doctor was basically like, you can either do surgery or we're going to put your dog down. Yeah. Literally I was in tears. I was just bawling. My dog started learning how to walk again, like by himself. And I was like, what? Like, obviously I'm grateful that he's like literally like back to normal right now. But there was like a really rough point in my life where I was just like getting him in a wheelchair and like putting diapers on him because he was literally like his bottom half like was not working. Yeah. And it was just times like these where I'm just like, okay, you're showing me like obviously I'm not trying to say that like, hey, if something happens to my legs, I'll be able to like get back up and going like my dog, right? But just so much resilience and that, like so much strength. My dogs have taught me so much love. Like literally like unconditional love is something that I had a tough time wrapping my head around. And growing up, like I feel like I was always very tough on myself, like the way I spoke to myself. Like I spoke to myself very harshly and I would expect so much of myself. And it was very, very toxic productivity, right? Like expected to perform and I'm like, okay, I'm not doing as well as I should be. So I was pretty much beating myself down all the time. And looking at my dog, it's like we speak to our dogs with so much, love and kindness, or, your pets with just love and kindness. We forgive them so easily. Like we're just, just so gentle and like loving with them. And I'm like, that's like the type of energy that I need for myself.
Oh my God, I have so many different things I want to jump off and say. I have my brain ADHD is like this and this and this and this. So the first thing I'll say is to that last point, yes, literally, I'll tell you a story. This morning, I was so tired last night. I wanted to go to bed. I was minding my business. I was asleep. Dogs woke me up at 6:30. I let them out. I come back. They had gone outside and I come back and I'm not kidding. As soon as they came back in, one of them got up on my bed and either threw up or pooped in three different spots on my sheets this morning.
Oh my gosh.
My mattress on my rug, 6:30 in the morning. I was so frustrated. And yet I'm still like, but your tummy doesn't feel good. You're the best girl. If we
Yes.
do so much grace to our animals, like why can't we show that same grace to ourselves? Why do we have
Amen.
to be so mean to ourselves? Like I'm not looking at myself and being like, well, Courtney, like I know you had all this stuff on your to-do list that you had to do today, but you didn't get any of it done because you were having a really crappy mental health day. But like you're still good. You're still good. No, I'm like, Courtney, what the hell was that? You had all this stuff you had to do and you got none of it done. You're the literal worst. And it's like, why? 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 Why can we be so mean to ourselves and so kind and loving to the world around us?
Right. And I feel like that's the thing as women too. I feel like it's literally so ingrained on us to compare ourselves to other people and just be down on ourselves. Like we have whole industries like profiting off like women's insecurities, right? So
Hell,
yeah.
so real. And then that story about your dog, girl, I am blown away by that. First of all, what a miracle that he started teaching himself to walk again. That's insane. And I deeply resonate and not to the same extent, but when they always talk about how you have soul dogs in this life, right? And
Mhm.
my first dog, her name's Bailey. We adopted her right after COVID. And when she was a puppy, she had panosteitis. And it was a process to get that diagnosed. And basically, like 1 week out of every month, she would just stop being able to walk and would limp and would hobble, and we would have to keep her from playing. And it was so frustrating because it's like she's a puppy. She wants to play. She doesn't understand that she's hurt, and I can't help her. And I would get so angry at the universe and just be like, dude, like, this is an innocent animal. Like, what the heck is going on here? I don't understand. And it's so true. They teach us so much about patience, about resilience, about coming back stronger than, you ever started. And your story really touched me partially because I really identify, but also like that's so cool. I'm so happy that they are walking normally again.
Yeah. You guys, keep fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for real, like, honestly, my babies have just taught me a lot in life, and I feel like, especially with love, I feel like a lot of people would just we all need to show ourselves more love. Like, it's what I wanna come down to, like, I think the world would be such a better place if people just learn to love themselves more because it's like, I think at our core, it's like we wanna love and be loved, and that's just something that's, like, I don't feel like it's too touched on in a lot of spaces, just there's a lot of self-care stuff out there, right? We see a lot of self-care, mental health, but, like, I wanna see more of, like, things about self-love because when
Yes.
I learn to love myself and when I'm, like, in that energy, I feel like I'm so much more secure and confident in myself, and the way I speak to myself is a lot kinder, and I'm more in tune with myself when I'm able to just love myself and be with myself.
Yeah.
And when you learn to speak to yourself with kindness, I feel like that also it goes back to, like, pouring into your own cup before you can pour into others because when it's like you're speaking kindly to yourself, you're taking care of yourself, you're also able to do that for other people in your life as well.
It's so
Also, that's something I wanna incorporate into my brand, and I haven't really told anyone this, so let me know your thoughts, okay?
ready. Lay it on
Okay.
me.
So LUU for my brand name, right, it's LUU Lounge, but LUU is spelled LUU, and I want it to stand for love yourself unconditionally. Yourself, but with, like, a U, though, and I
Oh,
have
I
it
love that.
I have it embroidered on all the sleeves because I want it to be something that you can, like, look down and just remind yourself, like, I want it to be a little self-love reminder that you should also be showing yourself some love, like, just like you do for your fur babies.
I love that so much. That is yes. No, and you're so right. And I do think that's not something that's touched on. And I think there's so many places out there where you can talk about mental health and self-care. And social media is, while a great place, also a very dangerous place because it'll give you a
Mhm.
lot of bullshit. And it'll say stupid things like, just like go on a hot girl walk. And like, yes, those things are like great. Like you can take all the baths, you can do all the hot girl walk, you can do all the yoga classes. But if you are not being honest with yourself, how are you supposed to love yourself? If you are not taking ownership of your story and sharing it with yourself and in the spaces you're in, how are you supposed to love yourself? What
Mhm.
would you say to the person in front of you? If I think you're struggling with something, what am I going to say to you? And why can't I say that same thing to myself?
Right? Like, how can I speak kindly to my fur babies, but I can't do the same thing back to myself?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's such a I love that this is kind of the direction this conversation has gotten into because this is such a passionate like topic for me. I truly believe that genuine support and authenticity are the keys to that. When we talk about so my podcast is all about empowering people to be the ultimate people person, find their people, find their connections, find their relationships. The thing that gets in our own way so much, going back to what we talked about earlier, is that fear, that ego that gets in the way. And
Mhm.
again, I think a lot of times when we're mean to ourselves, that is a trick that our brain is playing on us, that it is a coping mechanism to reject us from being, to protect us from being rejected before we're ever rejected.
Yeah.
So in your relationships, let's say you get the vibe that somebody doesn't really like you, you're going to start being mean to yourself before you give them the opportunity to do that. But that's not being honest about who you are. That's not taking ownership of your own story. That's not giving them the chance to really get to know you. We have to be honest with ourselves, sit with ourselves, learn about ourselves, treat ourselves with kindness, because if we don't, we are getting in our own way. We
Yeah.
are making it so much harder for our own selves. We are not going to find our aligned people. We are not going to find our aligned connections because we're not presenting our real self to the world. We're presenting a fake version of ourselves or a mask of who we want to be when that's not really who we are. Sorry, this is a soapbox topic for me.
No, it's okay. I wanted to touch on also, like, with everything you're saying, I think something that's helped me, like, immensely with that is just being able to sit with myself and, like, journal my thoughts out and reflect. Because that's the time where I'm just like, when you don't have any distractions around you and you're literally focused like pen to paper and you're really just like in your own head, right? Like sitting with yourself, silence, and just scribbling and dumping all your inner thoughts out. I feel like that's when I was really able to come to a lot of things like face to face with myself because I struggled with self love a lot. Like it wasn't until like a few years ago, honestly, where it like finally clicked for me. And it was like, I need to stop treating myself this way. It's not doing me any good. I'm like literally messing with my health because of what's going on in my brain. Like that's how bad it was. And I think this was around like COVID time. Yeah, it was COVID. It's more personal life stories for you. I had an ex that like left me on the other side of the country, like by myself. This was during COVID.
Who am I beating now?
And it was like because I was getting thrown around the country for this job I had, right? And he basically like moved from California over there with me and then like left me there. And I didn't have any family or friends nearby. So I was pretty much like on a little island by myself in a way, like like on the East Coast, like or Midwest. And I'm just like, I don't know what the heck's going on. And like I was in a very, very dark spot in my life. And what really got me out of that was just literally a lot of affirmations. Like I would sit in the mirror and like read affirmations to myself and I would journal just a shit ton
Yeah.
and just dump out all my thoughts and really sit with myself. And it's like through that like dark space where I didn't have like anyone like around me and I was just literally just sitting with myself like all the freaking time, like not even leaving anywhere really because it was COVID. So everything was like on lockdown. That's when I was like, okay, like you are the person that you have, right? At the end of the day, like it's just you. Yeah. And it's like if you don't have that good relationship with yourself, like that's gonna affect the quality for like of your life.
It's going to affect every connection you have.
Hmm.
Well, I have chills. So thank you again for sharing that. But I can't imagine how hard being abandoned on the other side of the country by someone who,
Like I thought I was gonna marry this guy, and then like and then he ended up leaving me. But it's literally one of the best things that has ever happened to me, like on the real, because of that, because of what happened. Like I am who I am today, and I have a much better relationship with myself because all that crap that happened. And
yeah,
it's like I learned to love myself in the process. I became a lot more confident. I started showing it for myself more, and there it just comes with the whole thing of like just being able to love yourself, take care of yourself, and just remind yourself like you need to also prioritize yourself and pour into your own cup before you can pour into others. And it's like when you have a better relationship with yourself, you're able to have better relationships with others too.
thank you so much for sharing that. That's, yes, 100%. I really just want to like sit with that and be like, yeah, no, so real. I want to come back to LUU Lounge a little bit just to give everybody an opportunity to really get to know your brand and what you're going to be doing and all of that good stuff. What is one message, and we kind of touched on this already, that you're hoping your brand sends to other women?
Yeah, definitely just to show yourself some love and remind yourself to love yourself unconditionally as well. Like that's the big thing that I want to be able to. I mean, obviously my clothes there's a functional purpose, right? But I also want it to be just a self-love reminder, have an emotional tie, and just be able to remind people that like love yourself. Like that's it. At the end of the day, like remember to love yourself too, because we show love to all these people in our lives. We have our friends, our family, our fur babies that we show love to. But like don't forget to show some love to yourself as well.
What are you most excited about with your brand launch?
I am really excited to see people just experience this. Like it has been such a game changer for me. Like I love being able to like cuddle with my dogs and then like not see a lot of hair stuck to me or just be able to wipe it away. I'm like, this is so cool.
Can't wait to order from.
Yeah, like I'll literally just be smacking the fur off and I'm just like, yeah, this is nice. Like I wish I had this years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm sure other people are gonna feel the same way too. I'm sure other people are gonna have it and then just be like, yeah, why wasn't this made like or why wasn't this around like forever ago? Because it's like I've had my dogs for like over 10 years already. And I've been even like before that, like I've had pets since I was young. So just looking back, I'm just like, yeah, this would have been a nice to have like forever ago. And now I finally have it in my life.
There you go. Well, and looking back on that like self-love journey that we kind of just touched base on, if you could go back and hype yourself up before launching, like if you could go back to the very beginning to Lily a year ago as she was starting this process, like how would you hype yourself up? What would you say to yourself? How would you encourage yourself in this journey?
I feel like I would just tell myself like it's going to happen. Like chill out, like it's going to happen. Like I've had this on the vision board for years and it's like, yeah, I've taken a long time to get here, but like it's gonna happen. So I feel like it's definitely something that has been inevitable in my life just because I know I put it down on my vision board for like years and I've like written about it and I've dreamed about it and I'm like, it's just like finally here like in reality now that it's actually happening.
Of that. I am so excited for you. And that really spoke to me too. So as somebody who's like in the beginning or as encouragement to everybody who's, listening to this, like Lily is a proven version of you will get there. And those little yeses, those things, they do matter. They do add up. They're a very important, pivotal part of your story. So don't let the roadblocks or the little things be obstacles. See them as opportunities. That is how we can create the most fulfilled version of whatever it is we want to do in life.
Yeah, something I also like to do, I'll write a letter to myself, like, and I'll date it for like a year into the future. And there are times where I'm like, okay, let me go find that because I know I wrote it like around like this time last year or whatever, right? And I'll read it and I'm just like, yeah, like all those things I wrote down, like they're here now. Like it's like you're just, pre-manifesting it for yourself. Like a year from now, like this is what's gonna happen. And it's
Yeah.
like you gotta stay in that energy of like, this is what's gonna happen for me.
Yeah.
And it's like I feel like with this, like all the things I want, even if they don't come immediately, like they're still gonna be on its way to me, like somehow, some way as I keep making these steps forward and progressing.
Or even if they don't come to you in the exact way that you're expecting.
Yeah.
Thing I've had to learn too. Like
Mhm.
that ability to pivot, like again, everything goes your way, everything is going to work out for you. And you are your biggest roadblock that keeps you from believing that. So
Yeah.
the more you can lean into that journey, the more you can, just truly embrace the moment of where you're at and embrace that it's going to take steps to get there. The more you have to share when you're sharing your story, and the more powerful and iconic your story becomes, because nobody just woke up and was successful, or the people who have are very, very, very lucky. And like it's rare. Like you have to work your butt off and stay in the present, even when it feels really tough.
Yeah, and just enjoy the journey along the way. Like that's a big thing I have to also remind myself because it's like, yeah, it gets stressful. I'm working like 8 to 5 job, and then it's like I basically will take my break to go to the yoga studio, and then I'm like back home, and I'm like back to work, and it's just a lot of hours put into the business, a lot of hours put into my day job, right? And then it's like you got to carve out time for your friends, your family, yourself, and there just really has to be a balance between it all. And yeah, it's a lot to take on, but that's why I also think it's so important just to be able to connect with yourself at the end of the day, keep your head on straight, and also, like, obviously for your mental health.
Yeah. Well, and to remember that life isn't always going to be like this, right? Like when you're
Mhm.
building, you have to be able to build, and it's going to
Yeah.
take your time. But you have to set those boundaries now, and you have to learn to prioritize yourself now so that when things aren't chaotic and things do calm down, you still continue to prioritize yourself and don't burn yourself out.
Mhm. I'm so glad we're touching on these topics.
Yeah, because some of us thrive in chaos. I'm one of them, right? Like, I have had to rewire my brain to be like, okay, the world's not burning down. I don't need to be in protector mode. I can let myself just like relax. It's not always good case or bad case. Like, there can be gray, there can be waiting, there can be patience. And like, that's part of it. And you got to just give yourself the space to like listen to yourself and prioritize what you need in those moments.
Amen. I totally agree with you.
All right. Well, we are about at our wrap up point. So I just kind of wanted to ask, like, how can people support you in your journey, and where can they find LUU Lounge? Like, tell us anything else you wanted to share about your brand or how we can support you.
Yeah, so I'm LUU Lounge on social media. That's LUU, LOU, and SHE for lounge. And I'm yet to launch. I'm actually thinking about pushing the date to mid-June just because all the tariffs and stuff going on right now. And like, yeah, it's like we're dealing with that whole situation. So just to play it on the safe side, I have inventory that should be coming in a few weeks or so. I'm not sure what the holdup will be once it actually hits land, but I'm thinking about launching in June. It's more of a soft launch because my items are like all Sherpa lined, so that are like warm and cozy lounge sets. But it's more of like a soft launch, like in June. And then after that, I'm planning to open up for pre-order. So if anyone wants to sign up on the email list to be notified when I do launch, there is early access that I'm going to do. But yeah, after that, I'm thinking about doing like monthly drops of different colors, and I have everything voted on by the community. So we'll see what people pick next.
So fun. That's so exciting. And this podcast actually also launches mid June. So that's like perfect timing.
Okay, nice. We'll be like side by side with each other.
And just cheer each other on the whole time. All right, Lily. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today. This has been an incredible conversation. I'm going to give you the last word. Is there anything else you want to leave the audience with, or anything you want to share before we wrap up?
I definitely just want to encourage everyone to chase their dreams no matter what it is and not let fear get in the way because that's been the big kicker that I've been dealing with like for years. So don't wait until your 30s to get triggered like me. Or maybe that's what you need.
Your journey is your own. Well, I love
Yeah.
it. Thank you. You've inspired me today and our audience, and I hope everybody has a great rest of their week. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. See you.